Hi, I'm Helga from Helga's Pennsylvania Cooking, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about making chicken stock. We're going to make some chicken stock. I roasted a rooster I actually had raised myself and off with his head, and I roasted him the other day. I saved the carcass and some of the meat on him actually to make chicken stock with. Now I didn't have time that day, so I just put it in a container actually with the schmaltz, and which is the chicken fat and drippings and all of that, and popped it in the freezer and froze it until I would have a chance to make it. And I wanted to do that today. I actually have a recipe coming up here Wednesday that I need the chicken stock for, so I need to get on it. You know, part of home cooking is not wasting anything, and a lot of today's cooking society stuff is pre-packaged, pre-made. You just warm it up, but it has a lot of extra stuff in it you don't want, with preservatives, dyes, fillers, whatnot. It's also really wasteful. You know, in the older days they didn't have it to waste, and I grew up that way pretty much too. You know, whatever you used all the parts of. That even includes, you know, in this case, the chicken carcass. The chicken bones and stuff. You know, you can make stock actually with chicken parts from the store. You know, they like the back parts and like your innards and stuff, your liver and heart and stuff makes really good stock. But I like using the whole bone, actually carcass if I can, because you get all that bone marrow and flavor and stuff. And this being a home-raised bird, the flavor is going to be even better than a store-bought one that's raised commercially. So it makes really good chicken stock. Chicken stock isn't hard to make. It does take some time. But if you're, you know, if you can learn to do some better time management, it's well worth the weight in gold that it is. It's liquid gold, literally. And it will save you a lot in cooking elsewhere and really give you so much more flavor. I throw this on the stove, let it simmer for a couple hours, slow cook, while I'm going and doing other stuff around the house. So it really isn't a big thing out of the day. It takes literally just a few minutes to throw it on and get her going. And then I'll show you what the end result is going to look like and taste like. That's the most important thing, and how I'll store it. So let's make our broth. To make our chicken stock, here's the what's left of the roast chicken I did the other day. Like I said, this was one I raised myself, so it's got really good flavor. He wasn't the most tender because he was still pretty young and obnoxious, which is one of the reasons that he's here. But he has really great flavor, so he's perfect to do for a chicken stock. Pop over, and I'm just going to plop him in like that. Just going to go in whole. Then I'm going to add my veggies and herbs. So I've got some celery, got some onion, some red onion, really gives us good flavor. Got some carrots, and I've got some garlic, got some parsley, and this will get strained at the end so we have a clear broth, and some salt. Not a lot, I don't use a lot of salt, and some pepper. Heavier on the pepper, I like the pepper. Now I'm going to fill my pot with water and we're going to put her on. Okay, brought my pot full of water over. Okay, got her on the stove, and I'm going to bring her up to a boil, then back it off to simmer, and I'm going to let it simmer here a couple hours. I want this, all the vegetables to get tender, all the marrow to come out of the bones, and it reduced down a bit so you have that concentrated goodness and flavor in this broth. And by the way, we're not going to lose what's in here. I mean, we're going to strain this off so we have a clear stock to use for later, but none of what's in here is going to go to waste either. Well, she is simmered here for a couple hours. Pretty much have everything that I want off the carcass off. And you know, one of the other things about wasting stuff is when something's given its life to sustain us, it's respectful to the food to treat it well and not be wasteful. That goes back to that whole waste thing. My dad was always like, waste not, want not, and he's right. So this is what the stock looks like, and we're going to strain it here so we get the clear broth to be able to use in other recipes. But I'm going to save what we strained out and actually make that as a purpose for something else. So out of that rooster here, that roast chicken, we're going to get not only the roast chicken that we had for dinner, but also chicken stock, and I'm going to make a homemade chicken corn noodle soup, and the noodles are going to be the Amish egg noodles that we make around here. That'll be another vid, but that's, and like, oh, and there's chicken stock I'm going to use out of this for the video coming out Wednesday on for the chopped tubers, which is going to be a lot of fun. So that's what it looks like here, and we're going to get this all strained out, and you can see the final liquid gold. See what this looks like. I'm actually going to use my fry basket from my copper chef here to actually use as my strainer, because it's a pretty fine strainer. And let's see here, that fills up one pot. Let's see how nice that works. That takes out all the stuff. And I'm going to get this, this is going to go into something else. We'll get it cooled. Got another pot. And people store this different ways. I have a friend who, actually I have several friends, that they will use old ice cube trays and put it in ice cube trays and freeze them, and then you just pop out the cubes. See that goodness that's left? We don't want to throw that away. Some people do. I think that's a sin. That's good soup makings right there. And just pull this out. Make sure it all drains off there. Anyway, you freeze the ice cube, freeze the bouillon in the ice cubes, and so they're handy to pop out and stuff. You can jar this and actually can it. A lot of people do that. I typically let it cool and throw it in freezer bags, because usually I'm wanting to use 2 or 3 cup measures of this at a time. So instead of using a bunch of cubes, I'm going to do it in 2 cups at a time in a bag, because that's just typically what I tend to use when I'm making other dishes. So I'm going to let this cool, and then when it cools down, I'm going to bag it up, and I'm going to give it a taste real quick. Just make sure that it doesn't need anything else, but usually I'm pretty happy with this. I don't like lots of salt. We watch our salt around here, so... Oh man, I wish you could smell this. The whole house smells just amazing from this. Oh man, that's really good. And this is going to give your recipes a depth of flavor that I don't think regular stock gives it. But it's good. It's already, there's not even anything in it, and it tastes like it ought to fix everything up that's wrong with you. Typical Jewish penicillin chicken soup. So, I'm going to let this cool, and then we'll bag it and show you what it looks like. Jars here, because I am going to use some of this right away. But I also felt that it would probably be a lot easier for you to see me straining it this way into a jar than trying to do a bag. So obviously, you know, it cools down, you can do it right into a bag. And yes, I'm using a cheesecloth to strain out the last of the herbs, so that you have a truly clear stock, because when you're adding it to other dishes you might not necessarily want that. So get my hand out of the way here. So this is what it looks like. And I'll show you another, we'll get another good shot here before we're through. That way. Like I said, it does take a little time, but it's not that hard. And the flavor rewards are pretty amazing. And there's no added salt, which unfortunately a lot of your commercial stocks and broths are loaded with salt. And we watch our salt here, so that's not something I use a lot of. Okay, set that over here. So, see if you can see this good. I'm just going to move the camera over here so I can show it off better. Okay, we got some better lighting here. So, here you go. Homemade chicken stock, homemade chicken broth. This is so nice to use. Oh man, you ought to smell it. Really nice. So I've got more to freeze. This is what's left over in my pot after doing the stock. And I'm a waste not, want not kind of person for this stuff, so this is going to get turned into a soup. I still have some chicken left from the roast chicken. I'm going to throw a little bit more of that in here to give it enough protein. And I'm going to add some corn and some noodles, some Amish egg noodles, homemade by me. And I'll have some really good homemade soup. So, a couple hours of simmering on the stove to make homemade chicken stock is totally worth it. That's going to go in numerous dishes. I have 1, 2, 3, 3 already planned, and there's still more that's going to go in the freezer. So, you know, this is, and let's face it, it's cheap. You already had the bird. You just add water, the onion and garlic and celery and parsley. That's normally stuff that's in most people's pantries. You just toss it in and, you know, let it go. You've got free stock. So, and it keeps well. It freezes well and it keeps quite a while. And even in the fridge, refrigerated, it'll keep a couple weeks without a problem. So that's how you make homemade chicken stock. If you like what you saw in this vid, please like and subscribe. And join me next time here in Helga's Pennsylvania Cooking.